Okay, thanks, Charmaine. Good afternoon, actually good evening. I will go ahead and call the February 23rd open session meeting of the Commission on Police Practices to order at 6:01. I will do a quick read of the purpose of the Commission. For anyone who's attending and is not familiar with the new Commission, the purpose of the Commission on Police Practices is to provide an independent investigation of officer-involved shootings and in-custody deaths and an unbiased evaluation of all complaints against the police department and its personnel in a process that will be transparent and accountable to the community. The Commission will also evaluate the review of SDPD policies, practices, training, and protocols, and represent the community in making recommendations for changes. The mission of the Commission is to hold law enforcement accountable to the community and to increase community trust in law enforcement, resulting in increased safety for both the community and law enforcement. And with that, we will kick it over to Charmaine to do our official roll call.
Okay. Chair Hilpert.
I am here.
First Vice Chair Doug Case.
Present.
Second Vice Fitch.
I'm here.
Thank you. Commissioner Holtrop. Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Workman.
Here.
Commissioner Dent is excused. Commissioner Harrington is absent. Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Clark.
Here.
Commissioner Shea. Commissioner Shea.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Craver. Commissioner Craver.
I don't see him in the attendee list right now.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Taylor. Commissioner Taylor.
Duke's here, but he might be frozen.
Okay, I see him. I'll note him as being here. Commissioner Dabba.
Here.
Commissioner Spruce.
Here.
Commissioner Neely.
Here.
Commissioner Chan is excused. Commissioner Pink.
Here.
Okay, now I'm going to go down to Internal Affairs. Executive Assistant Chief Guadarrama. Who do we have from Internal Affairs?
Hello, good evening, everyone. This is Lieutenant Carissa Pick. Chief Guadarrama is not in attendance
I might
today.
have to leave the meeting and come back in. I can't hear anything.
Okay.
Can the rest of you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so in attendance will be myself and Acting Captain Steve Shablowski, as well as Detective Andrea Amato.
Acting Captain?
Yes, ma'am. He got a
Cool.
little promotion for the week.
Okay, congrats.
Yes, absolutely. Congratulations.
Okay, that completes roll call.
All right, next up we have the approval of minutes. We actually have two meetings to approve. We have the open meeting from January the 26th, which we'll cover first. Does anyone have any edits or revisions? Okay, hearing none. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion by Patrick. Can I get a second?
Second.
By Nancy, thank you. Charmaine, can you call a vote, please?
Were those attached to the minutes? I mean, to the
You mean
agenda?
the agenda?
Yes. It was separate. It was sent in the invitations as well as email.
Okay.
Okay. Can I proceed?
Yeah, go ahead.
Commissioner Case,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Commissioner Fitch,
I'm going to abstain. I wasn't at the meeting.
Commissioner Holtrop,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Craven. Craven is excused. Commissioner Neely,
Yes.
Commissioner Workman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dent's excused. Commissioner Spruce,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrington is absent. Commissioner Shea,
Yes.
Commissioner Dabba,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor is having technical issues. I don't think he rejoined us. So Mark is excused for now. The chair abstains. Commissioner Chan is excused as well. Commissioner Pink,
Abstain.
thank you. Motion passes.
Charmaine, this is Poppy. Will you correct my abstention to yes? I misspoke. I was at this meeting. Forgive me.
Okay,
Off to a grand start today.
too many meetings. We can't proceed.
So with that, we'll move on to the next meeting. It was our special meeting on February the 2nd. Are there any edits or revisions to the minutes? Patrick, I see your hand. Yep, go ahead.
I have a request on page 2 of the minutes, and Charmaine, you wrote these minutes, right?
Mhm.
So on page 2, give me a moment and I'll find it. Yeah, the paragraph under section 5, the fourth block of text there that begins "the commissioner agreed." That second sentence, the commissioners also agreed that the prohibition should not apply to former members of law enforcement, etc.
Mhm.
I feel like that sentence doesn't reflect that a number of us actually didn't agree with that and thought that current and former law enforcement officers from anywhere, I mean, this should be barred. So there were at least a few of us who didn't agree with that, even though we voted to send the recommendations forward. Is there a way that we could either add a majority of commissioners agreed or something to reflect that there was a diversity of opinion on that question?
Send me the language that you want me to add to the meeting minutes and I'll add it.
Can you just add a majority of in place of the in that second sentence? A majority of commissioners also agreed that the prohibition should not apply to former members.
Okay, and then I'll go back and check the vote for that as well.
Well, I don't think we took a vote on it because we just voted on sending the recommendations forward. I'm asking that it be reflected that at least some of us didn't think that there should be an exception.
Okay,
So there wasn't a vote.
okay.
And Patrick, just to elaborate on that, when Doug gave his presentation to public safety and livable neighborhoods, he did point that out. He did say it was not a unanimous vote. So I just do want to make that officially clear that we did address that at PSLN.
Yeah, I remember that. I just want to make sure it's reflected
Okay.
in our minutes too. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Noted.
And I'll
Any
move
other-
if there's,
Okay, I was gonna say, any other edits? Okay, seeing none. Patrick, did you want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion to move forward with that one small change.
Okay,
Second.
can I get a sec?
Who's
I
second?
heard Poppy first, so I'm gonna go with Poppy.
Okay. Commissioner Case,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Commissioner Fitch,
Yes.
Commissioner Holtrop,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Craver,
Yes.
Commissioner Neely,
Yes.
Commissioner Workman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dent is excused. Commissioner Spruce.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrington is absent. Commissioner Shea.
Yes.
Commissioner Dalba.
Yes.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
Commissioner Clark.
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor.
Yes.
The chair abstains. Commissioner Chan is excused and Commissioner Pink.
I abstain.
Motion passes.
Excellent, thank you. Next thing is non-agenda public comment. We did not receive any non-agenda public comment through the web form. I do have a rather lengthy way to describe how to do public comments. So I'll just read that really quickly. If there's any, I see we have one attendee, but I'll just read this real quick. To make public comment by the web Zoominar, you'll enter the web Zoominar as an attendee, enter your email address and your name. When the chair calls your name for an item for which you'd like to speak, please click on the raise hand. Do not unmute yourself until you've been called. When prompted, please state your name for the record and provide your public comment. You'll have an allotted time given by the chair of approximately 2 minutes. If there are multiple people in queue, the chair may limit comments to 1 minute. Please avoid unnecessary repetition. Once your time is ended, you'll be moved out of the queue and your microphone will be muted. If anyone who is listed as an attendee, if you have any public comments we go through, please go ahead and raise your hand and then we will go ahead and call on you. So with that, we have no public comment. We're going to move on to unfinished business. The first item we want to go over is the commission closed meetings. Typically in the past, what we've been doing is we've had a lot of cases that we needed to go over. So instead of doing the regular second and fourth Tuesday of each month, for a while we were doing it every Tuesday. For the month of February, we went back to the kind of the second and fourth. I think we're going to have a decent number of cases coming up in March. So I think we might need to actually at least add a minimum of one more. We had 4 cases that we were not able to complete on our closed session just before this meeting. So I'm thinking I'll probably send out another a doodle poll to everyone to kind of see what works with your calendars, but I'd probably propose doing the same thing that we've done in previous months. So on the off weeks, we'd probably just do a regular 2-hour closed session meeting. And then when we have our fourth, the open and closed sessions, we'll probably just do a regular closed session just because it is a 4-hour meeting for everybody. But with that being said, I don't know if anyone wants to chime in on that. I know we're trying to be respectful of everyone's time and their commitments outside of commission related work, but I know internal affairs has a lot of cases that are coming down the pipe. And I know several teams have several cases that they are either have finished or are very close to finishing. So my only concern is I don't want to have the commission be a kind of the roadblock for cases being closed. And if there's any sustained findings of discipline being issued.
I would recommend that we think about having a closed meeting sometime next week, just because we ran out of time tonight in closed session. There were 4 cases that were not deliberated on and closed out, as well as there's cases that are ready to go. So when we're thinking about the cases that have sustained findings, we need to make sure that we move them forward. So I would recommend us looking at time next week.
So if we stuck with the Tuesdays, that would be Tuesday, March 2nd for next week. But like I said, what I'll do is I'll send out a doodle poll to everybody, and then you can indicate the times that work for your schedules. I'll do that tonight after this meeting.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners have comments, questions about that? Pull up the attendee list. Okay, so case review. So wanted to work on the feedback for how we prioritize our cases. I know we've talked about this in the past. There are a decent number of cases that we're all working on. We would recommend that obviously prioritizing any case that has a sustained finding, and especially one that's getting close to that 1-year mark. So with those sustained findings, we can have the discipline applied to those officers. So for teams, if you have questions, concerns about that, please definitely reach out to either myself or Charmaine, and we can help try to work on the prioritization of those. Internal affairs does need at least a month prior to that 1 year mark to be able to send it through legal and send it on to command, so discipline can be issued. So we're going to be working with IA to try to make sure that all those dates we have a heads up of when those cases are coming, so no one has to suddenly work for 3 days straight to get a case completed. But I know there's several that are getting very close to that 1 year mark. The other thing I wanted to touch base on, and I know I personally have been bad about working on the redacted case summaries. We do want to get those redacted case summaries completed as soon as possible, so we can start to work on the process of getting those put up online and in our annual report. So does anyone have any questions on the redacted cases? I know some teams have been very good about getting those done as they've gone through the process, and others, like the team I'm on, we have not been as dedicated on that. So I need to get mine done. But do anyone have questions or concerns on the redacted case summaries?
I have a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to offer, if there are teams that could use some help with redacting and getting case summaries ready to go out, I see that as a really important part of our transparency to the community we represent. And so as chair of the outreach committee, I'd be happy to spend some extra time helping teams if they're overwhelmed with other things. So just an offer to help get those redacted cases out.
Excellent, Patrick. You're a brave soul for doing that.
Brandon, I have a question.
Yeah.
We have several that are done or almost done as soon as I get the information in about when they were presented. What do we do with them when we're through? Do we send them to Charmaine, or what do we do? I mean, they have to get reviewed. These are the first ones to go out. They're going to have a review process, right?
So
Yeah,
when you're done with them, let Detective Amato know so she can move it over to the redacted summaries folder that's in the Google Drive. And I know there's a bunch of them in there right now, but I haven't carved out enough time to sit down and read through them and make revisions to them. Once I review them, then it will go to our outside counsel, who will also look at it, and then we'll send it over to Internal Affairs for them to send it to their legal to make sure that there's nothing in it that needs to be redacted.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
For remote case access, this is something that we've been begging for, I don't know, probably as long as I've been on the board, so about 5 years or more. We finally do have access to that with a secure Google Drive. So I know most of the teams have been using that new secure Google Drive. If you guys are having questions or concerns, again, feel free to let Charmaine or myself know. If there's items you need, let Detective Amato know, and she can make sure that if there's any missing files or anything like that, that she can get those uploaded. I know, for example, I had written down questions for a case, and it was back when we were going in person, and those obviously weren't scanned in. So I asked her to do that, and within the next day, she put that up there for my case. So if you have questions or if you need anything, definitely let either Charmaine, myself, or Detective Amato know on that one. Duke actually asked, is there a resolution on the audio files? Kind of. So just to kind of restate, the issue is because we can't download files to personal computers. Right now, we are not able to listen to many of the audio interviews unless we go into Internal Affairs and either physically are there on the computers and listen to the recordings, or they will burn them to a CD. We could check those out, take those home, and then bring the CD back. So it's not ideal. We're trying to find a way to make it more effective. One of the solutions that we had looked at was using a tool called Laserfiche. It's what the city of Riverside uses. And with that tool that you can listen to those recordings. The only problem we have with that is we don't have budget yet from the city. We won't have budget from the city until next fiscal year. So that's not going to happen until July 1st at the absolute earliest. And then there's probably gonna be some implementation time as well. So kind of short answer, yes and no. There is a little bit of a resolution, but it's not completely remote access.
Can I also add with the remote case access? So today, I received an email from Commissioner Workman regarding the sign-in sheets. So now I went ahead and I combined the sign-in sheets to the case report templates. So now the sign-in sheets are located at the bottom of the case report templates. So commissioners do not have to go and search for them. So hopefully that'll make things easier as far as tracking your time and writing up the case reports.
Yeah, thanks. I know I actually haven't been very good at actually adding my time on cases, just because we didn't have those handwritten sheets of paper. The other item is we can go into IA again. I know we sent an email to everybody. Just to remind everyone that if you do want to go in on weekends, you need to send Internal Affairs Detective Amato, send her an email or give her a call by Thursday, and then she can work for scheduling someone for weekend hours. And then also if you need to schedule room anytime during the week, reach out to them and they can get you booked for room. The last thing we had for case review, there were updates to our commission computers at IA. So they've gone in, they've actually put internet access on those. So now we can go to our Google Drive, and they've also updated the software. And so for the two computers that we have, if you're in Chrome, I did put the city, the Okta login tool. And there's also our webmail, and there's also the Google Drives folder. So if you look in the top corner, I put 3 bookmarks. So that way you don't have to type it all yourself. You just click those links and you should be able to get there without a problem. The one thing I do want to remind everyone is if you do use the computers there, make sure you log out after you're done. Say, for example, if I logged in and then I forgot to log out, someone could theoretically go in and look at my webmail. Not that we really are having emails that are, classified or anything super crazy, but it's a good practice just to log out once you're finished. And with that, does anyone have questions about case review related issues?
Brandon, this is Steve. I have a question.
Yep.
On Google Drive, if we have a question for IA, what's the procedure to ask a question and get them answered?
Yeah, so what I've done, and I think because this is kind of new for us, what I've done is I've actually just sent an email to either the lieutenant or to Andrea, and then she'll work with the investigating sergeant on those.
Okay.
But also, it's a good point. Just a reminder that we really, when we're sending emails, because email is inherently not secure, don't put a lot of case details, like specifically of complainant names or officer names. And I guess on some cases it's probably better to maybe even have a call, but you wouldn't want to put too many details. Like if an email got out, for example, we don't want to violate someone's confidentiality, either the complainant, a citizen, or an officer. So we want to make sure that that's being addressed carefully.
Right, makes sense.
Does that kind of answer your question there for you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yep.
And I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, so to clear up logging our time and that process.
Yes.
Or volunteer hours.
So yeah, so if you're on your Google Drive, well, it depends on how we've set it up. But what we're trying to do is now for each case report, at the end of the case report, we'll have a sheet where you can just type in your name, put the date and the time that you've worked on that case. And then the other thing is if you have some of the older ones, you'll actually have essentially like a Word doc. That's the same thing where you can go in and type your name in there and put your time. I can share my screen with you later, and I can show you how to do that.
So for the new commissioners, it's important to know also that there's 2 different ways that we need you to log your time in. The first is for each case report. The second is through that better management system. So there's 2 required ways to log your time in.
So the reason is that the one where you're logging your volunteer hours online is all work you do for the CRB, but for each case, we report to the public how many hours were spent reviewing it. And so that's what Brandon was talking about. For each case, you log however many hours you're looking at it in that case file itself, if that makes sense. It's a little confusing.
I apologize. Are there written instructions somewhere in how to log these hours? Because I'm still unclear about how to actually do that.
Have you logged into the system? Once you log into the system, there's like instructions on how to log the hours. There's videos, there's help, like the help area also. I can help you with that. Just let me know after you log in and you look at the videos. It's step by step. So
Okay, I will look for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I was trying to find, I'm trying to pull it up really quickly while we're doing this, what on the Google Drive, what it looks like with the time. And I'm not finding it quickly, so I'll probably skip over this. But I can share with you guys later. Oh, actually, here it is. Give me 1 second. Let me clear a couple of these windows and I'll share this.
I need to stop sharing. Hold on a second.
Okay, let me try share this page and that way you guys can see. Okay, so this should kind of be familiar with the sign-in sheet that used to be the pink sheets. So what you'll get is essentially a Word doc of it. So your team lead should have most likely already filled all this information, the case number, the assigned date, the team number. And then what you would just do is you could just type down here, you go in, just type in your name. And then you put the date and then the times that you worked on that. And then once we're finished with the case, we'll just log up all those hours to say how many hours we've worked on a specific case during our investigation. I'm sorry, not investigation, during our review.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And the one thing, Charmaine just sent me a text, let me know I skipped over it. The discipline cases. If we've had a case that had sustained findings, obviously we will get discipline, usually a couple months after that we've completed the case. I know Internal Affairs is working on getting several of those over. Charmaine and I are also working on going over and making sure that once we have a case that its discipline is coming back, fairly promptly. So I expect that probably within the next month or two, we should have a decent number of discipline cases for us to review. So those, if you don't have them already, those should be coming shortly. With that, we don't have any new business for this meeting, but I'm going to go down to committee chair reports. Nancy, do you want to touch base on anything with continuing education? Maybe, if Nancy's around.
Brandon, I don't have control over the mute stuff and the unmute when I have my
Okay.
video on. So I don't have any report. Poppy and I still have to divvy up the running of this committee. So.
Okay.
There was someone that you wanted to reach out to regarding, was it 382? I think you mentioned her name was Julia Liu. I might have got the name incorrect. Nancy, there was a topic that you
I
wanted.
remember there was somebody that we wanted to ask about that. And it was Doug's suggestion, so I'll work on it.
Yes, Julia Wu, W-O-O. And it's AB 392.
And I know one of the things we had talked about in the past was also doing kind of a educational thing for the community on pretext stops as well. So we were going to try to find some speakers to touch base on pretext stops.
Okay, if we can have something for next month's meeting, that would be great. Nancy, let me know if you need my help.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Patrick with Outreach. Patrick, you have been busy for the last several months and you actually have finally a little bit of a breather. Do you want to touch base on Outreach? You're on mute, by the way.
Oh, I have two mute buttons for some reason. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm, after the fourth roundtable and then getting everything ready for the presentation to the various committees and PSLN, there was a 2 week, there was sort of a 2 week off, 2 weeks without roundtables. I'm now planning another roundtable that at the request of the transition committee, which will be focused on, so Measure B mandates investigations for officer-involved shootings and in custody deaths, as you know, and then it empowers the Permanent Commission to do investigations of any other case it wants to, which is very exciting. But it doesn't stipulate what constitutes an investigation and what practices and methods will be used as a kind of standard for that investigation. So before the interim commissioners make recommendations about that, I want to check in with the community about what they think. And so I'm starting to plan a roundtable where I'm going to invite a person who's been involved in doing investigations for different oversight commissions for over 30 years. He's really wonderful. I heard him speak at NACOL, and then we invited him to a session for the transition committee. And I'll be asking him to make a presentation to the community about the range of different kinds of investigations that community oversight boards can undertake. And then I'll ask whoever shows up to this roundtable, I'll ask what stands out to them, you know, what kinds of things are important to the community in terms of ensuring, just to give you a sense of this. So for example, one question that's come up is if something happens and a community member asks for a sergeant to be called in a particular encounter, should that also trigger a call to the investigator from the new commission? I mean, that's a question. How should the commission's investigators interact with homicide investigators, the city attorney, IA, and so on? So I'll be having a roundtable and asking for, after sort of inviting this person to teach us what investigations can look like, I'll be asking for feedback from the community, and then I'll bring that back to the ad hoc transition committee as it develops its recommendations. That may have gone on too long. I don't know if that's not enough detail or too much detail. Happy to answer any questions about it.
Any questions for Patrick?
Yeah, I've got a question. I guess it's more broadly. Were we supposed to sort of sign up for a committee or be appointed a committee? This is for the new commissioners. Maybe I missed that email.
Yes and no. We don't really assign you to committees. We actually want people to be able to join the committees that they are most interested in participating in. So yeah, and actually it's not just for the new commissioners, it's everybody. Once a year, we kind of allow people, if they want to leave one committee, join another, you can all do that. So yeah, I would say if you have any interest on any specific committees, email Charmaine and myself, and we can get you guys reassigned to those. But we would like to have every commissioner should be on at least one committee. Any other questions for Patrick? And if not,
I'll just say in response to Duke, I would love to have people join the outreach committee. I mean, there are already great people on the committee, but anybody who wants to join this part of the process, I think it's a pretty exciting committee right now during this transition process and following the momentum of the roundtables. So if I can say anything to entice you to the community outreach committee, I'm happy to do that.
Okay, enough bribing there, Patrick. We'll go on to rules. I know there's not really a lot going on with rules just because obviously we're in transition as we go to the new committee, or sorry, commission rather. But Doug, I'll let you chime in on that.
Yeah, that's correct. We will be rewriting some of the interim standing rules to comply with the changes to our bylaws and interim standard operating procedures, but that is not our highest priority project right now. And so that is our next project, but we don't have a meeting scheduled to go over that yet.
And then is there any update on CRB handbook
No.
I know we were looking at taking what the old information was and putting that online, but I think right now we're probably putting that on hold as we're in the process of transitioning over as a committee. For policy committee, that one's currently on me. We haven't had a meeting in a while. This next meeting, which is Thursday at 4:30 to 6. I anticipate the biggest piece that we're going to be touching base on is going to be the new protest procedure that just got released last week. We do have several other items that had come up. Most of those came up from previous cases that we've reviewed. So the 6 items we have is the protest policy, the BWC requirement of using, well, it's not required right now, but we want to propose that it be required in secure facilities. That would be in jails, Sallyport, detention rooms, et cetera. Warnings from officers prior to them utilizing OC spray, time limits while someone's in maximum restraints. That's also known as the RAP device. Seatbelt usage during transportation. We want to kind of elaborate on that and make it a little bit more clear. And then obviously the last one we have is the observation of detainees while they're in Sallyport. And again, for people that may not be familiar, Sallyport is the area where detainees go while they're being processed by police officers before being taken to the county jail facilities. So I know protest policy is probably one of the biggest issues that's going to come up. We've been working with the department since June of last year. I don't want to discuss it too much today, just because policy committee is going to be debating that and discussing many of the components of that procedure. And then it'll come back to an open session of the commission for discussion. And then, my thought is at that point, we will then, if we agree and we vote on it, we will then send a memo to the chief of police with what our recommendations are. Again, that next meeting, it's this Thursday at 4:30. It's a webinar just like this. And if there's any commissioners who would like to join policy in time for that meeting to actually be on the policy committee and vote, definitely send us an email. The sooner the better. And then even if you aren't on the policy committee, you can still attend that meeting.
Brandon, can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
About the policy, the protest policy. So I know that it's going to be, and I want to ask this question publicly so that anybody watching or in attendance hears this, the response. So the meeting to discuss that the policy, the draft of the policy is Thursday at 4:30. Is that right?
Yes, but let me correct you. It's not a draft. The policy is a current policy. It's a procedure. Now that that procedure has been released by the police department, I assume not only the CPP and CAB, but also the community in general will want to provide feedback based upon what they've read in that policy. I keep calling it policy. It's really officially a procedure, but there's about like 7 or 8 things that I've found that I would like to clarify or add some more details to. And then so what I would propose is that the policy committee debate those potential changes. We accept others from community members, and then we would bring that back to the full commission to vote on, and then we would send that to the department as our official recommendations.
Right, and the policy committee meeting is an open meeting that anyone can attend.
Yeah, correct.
Has the interim commission shared the procedure about protest publicly? I know that it's available if you go to SDPD's page. Can we attach it to the agenda or something for the policy committee meeting?
Yeah, it has been. So
okay,
yes, it is available currently on the police department's public website. It's also been obviously shared with us, with CAB. There was an article in the UT that actually went out once that came out. I think the article actually came out on Sunday, but the policy is public, and it is attached to the agenda for the policy committee meeting. That, as you said, it is open. Anyone can attend that.
Thank you.
Brandon,
Doug. Sorry.
Sorry.
I saw Doug's hand up first, so let me get Doug, and then I'll come to you, Poppy. Doug, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to point out that you have 3 questions in the Q&A regarding the meeting and the protest policy. So maybe you can answer those.
Oh, thank you. I didn't even see that. So the first question is, did we have a say in the protest policy? Kind of. So what we did is we proactively reached out and we looked at multiple policies from across the country. We found Oakland, Washington, D.C., Seattle, Madison, and one more that we found that were, we felt were probably most applicable to the city of San Diego. So from that, we kind of picked and, honestly, we picked and chose, but we selected areas and we shared with the department that we thought was helpful. And they were responsible for drafting the policy themselves. And then you also asked, can you get the link to attend the meeting? Charmaine's going to type that up, but it's also on the CPP's website on the city. So sandiego.gov/CPP. And there is no de-escalation in the policy. That, I guess, is theoretically true, but just because there is a protest or a First Amendment activity, it doesn't make the city's or the police department's current de-escalation policy, it doesn't make that policy go away. So the de-escalation is still a requirement of SDPD. But one of the things that I am going to be proposing when we have our policy committee meeting is I want to reiterate in the protest policy, essentially things that are already in the existing policy. So even though it's already there, it's kind of restating it as it relates to protest related activities. So, so Tasha, you're right. De-escalation isn't specifically addressed in the protest policy itself currently, but that might be something that I think we might want to discuss. And if you want to, attend Thursday, please do. And Poppy, I think you had a question.
I would
well.
drawing your attention to Tasha's questions in the Q&A. So Doug and I were right on.
Thank you. I was so busy looking at the participants in the chats that I didn't see the Q&A at the bottom. So thank you for letting me know that was there. Any other questions from the commission on that at all? Okay, I think we're good on that one. Kevin is not here for recruitment and training. I don't really know if I have any updates myself. Charmaine, do you have anything you wanted to touch base on the?
Brandon, there's one more comment on the protest policy. I think it takes a bit of time to type it in. Would you like me to read it?
Sure. I just see, please make new recommendations.
Yes, I think that's an endorsement of of what you're planning to do at the policy committee meeting, and a vote of support for this commission to really take that seriously and put forward strong recommendations.
Yeah, and we sent out, just for the public, well, I did send out a chair update to the commission and let them know where the link was so they could look at the policy, and said if they have any questions or comments and things they'd like to see in the policy to come prepared to discuss those. So like I said, I have about 9 items from my reading of the procedure that I would like to at least have the policy committee address, and I'm sure other people in the public will have comments as well. And Andrea, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Brandon. I just wanted to announce I would like to join your policy committee. I may not be able to contribute a whole lot at this precise moment in time, but I would like to join it.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, sorry, Charmaine, we were starting to talk about recruitment and training, so go ahead.
Yes, this is an old update. We had 6 new members who were appointed to the board. I believe it was late November, early December of last year, 2020. They were confirmed. They went through the phase trainings, background checks, and so that's what this item is for. I believe Kevin wasn't at the last meeting, so he wasn't able to give this update. So that's pretty much what it is.
Perfect. Next item is the Citizen Advisory Board. This is known as CAB. They had a meeting yesterday, which I attended, and they also had a retreat on Saturday, which I also attended that as well. I know the retreat where they're really trying to work on their work plan. I actually had to hop off before they completely finished, so I don't know if they got to that at the very end. But they had a bunch of discussions just kind of about what they're trying to do, how they're trying to foster better relationships between the community and the police department. The other thing they had discussed was, I think they were actually going to have a discussion with the county supervisors, because I guess when they're working on first responders regarding COVID vaccinations, I guess they made the decision to not have police officers be part of that first responder group. And there was some concern that with the level of interactions they have with the community, that they don't want essentially, even if you call like for paramedics, oftentimes an officer will be some of the first people that will show up, in addition to the fire department and paramedics. So they were going to have a discussion with the county supervisors just to kind of say that they felt that it was important that that when it comes to COVID vaccinations, that the police officers are also included in that. But I think that was pretty much it. I mean, I don't know if you had any other major updates from that.
They also talked about the RIPA report. So there was like a presentation, then they had a speaker that was there as well. I think I missed the name of the speaker.
Yeah, I'm spacing on her name, but it was from
PANA.
Yeah, it's like the
PANA.
It's something for new Americans. I'm spacing on the name of it, but they had a discussion about kind of how to make sure you're being culturally aware. They have, I guess, an app that the police officers can use to kind of determine, like, so say, for example, if you're going into a certain community, and someone, the example they had of someone's wearing a hijab, do you go into a home if someone has not yet put their hijab on, and how to properly address that? One of the concerns they said is, if there's an urgent situation, it's not necessarily appropriate for an officer to pull out their phone, look at an app before, deciding to move into a home or something like that. But I think it's a great resource. I hadn't even heard of that, but it was something that CAB had talked about. The other thing that thank you for reminding me, the other thing that CAB had asked was, would there be a good opportunity for both CAB and the CPP to have a joint meeting to discuss ways we can move forward on certain things? And I actually think that's a pretty good idea. It depends on obviously what the topics are, but I think it's something that's important. And so I'm sure I will be working with Norma, the chair of CAB, to discuss that in the future. Is there anything else, Charmaine, you want to chime in on?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Okay. And then Doug, back to you for any updates on the Ad Hoc Transition Contingency Planning Committee. Oh, and actually, since there's a brief lull, I see a couple people made comments. The group is called the Partnership for the Advancement of New Americans. And I apologize, I spaced on that, but that was the official name. And then Tasha shared the website for anyone that's interested. It's PANA, PANASD.org.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that the transition committee has nothing to do, so we're going to disband the committee. I'm just kidding. We've been quite busy, and we made a presentation to a public safety and livable neighborhoods committee meeting on February the 10th, which I think was well received. We had 29 members of the public who gave public comment, and most of them referenced the San Diegans for Justice talking points, which talked about the importance of making all of the records of the department available to the commission, the need for transparency in all steps of the process, concern about or desire not to have law enforcement represented on the commission, and the protection for whistleblowers were their primary talking points. In terms of the city council members, we did get a lot of questions and actually, or specific comments. We did have Commissioner Whitburn, who had some concerns about the proposal to have a selection committee select the commissioners. And so I think we'll have some discussion of that when it comes back to the council. The action that the PSNLN did was to refer to the city attorney the process of beginning to draft the implementation ordinance, taking into account our presentation. We made several recommendations, as you know, as part of our presentation. And the motion also included direction to define several terms that are mentioned in the charter amendment, including police misconduct, investigation, investigative material, investigative proceedings, defining, review, and evaluate, and so forth, all of which are mentioned in the charter amendment. So the city attorney's office is working on that, and they will be, coming back to a council, probably giving the council different options on those things where there are, where there may be differences of opinion. The second issue is the issue of budget, and the city will be beginning their process of the budget for the next fiscal year, which begins on July 1. And so in April, they begin the process of hearings and so forth. But we have immediate needs in the current fiscal year. And unfortunately, the city is not making any changes to their current budget until they find out what happens with the federal stimulus, because there's a huge hole in terms of the city's budget, and it needs to be filled. And they really can't begin to decide how they're going to adjust the budget until they know what the revenue stream is going to be. And so right now we're kind of in a holding pattern, but we have met with the mayor's staff and have reiterated what our immediate needs are. So we're trying to keep our pulse on the situation, but right now there's not much that we can do. But we will be, making sure that our voice is heard in the budgeteering process, which is coming up soon. And there also has been some discussion in the budgeting aspect of it about the need of having a staff attorney as opposed to a contract attorney. And there seems to be, growing support for the concept of having a full-time staff attorney as opposed to contracting out for our legal counsel. On the issue of the appointment of the executive director, it's kind of complicated, but before the executive director can be appointed, they have to create a department to appoint the executive director to, and that requires an ordinance of the city council. So that requires a first reading and a second reading and waiting 30 days. And so the city attorney is working on the process of doing that. The standard operating procedures, the interim standard operating procedures, were required to go to the POA for comment. We thought that would be a simple process, and so, since the interim process is basically doing things as we currently are, but they came back with some comments, and so the city has to respond to that. So we met with our attorneys today to work on developing answers to their questions. And then finally, we are continuing to work on the issue of definition of investigation and what type of investigative model we want the new commission to use, as Patrick made reference to. And that's a request from the city attorney, because that needs to be included in the implementation ordinance, at least the definitions do, and then the procedures themselves need to be included in the standard operating procedures, which need to be approved by the city council and will be subject to a meet and confer process. And so we're keeping busy and moving forward. Any questions?
I see Poppy, you have your hand up. Do you want to go?
Yeah, I do have a question, Doug. I'm wondering on the topic of the delayed budget availability for the new commission, and I want to acknowledge Tasha's comment in the chat that there was a prioritization of the police budget in recent budget considerations. What I know to be true over the last 9 months or so, 12 months, is that the workflow that is being demanded of the board now commission has increased twofold at least. We have had been down board, now commission members for some period of time. We have commission members who have not been able to review cases because of COVID impacts and our inability to do remote case review. And the administration of the board, now commission, has lost administrative support historically. So we have all of these converging issues. And in addition, we have been asked to essentially create a framework for the new commission while doing all the other work of the board. I'm frustrated, Doug, and not at you. I'm wondering if the transition committee is prepared to begin making some considerations about modifications to the scope of the work that this commission will be doing until such time as the city determines that it will prioritize this work per the wishes of San Diego voters. And I would like to urge very strongly that every one of these commission members apply pressure amongst ourselves and to the city council that that is an appropriate step that we need to take. It is to me untenable, the level of work that's being asked of this group. And for us to now hear in this report, we'll keep our fingers on the pulse of it. It's just not, it's not sufficient to me. So that, I don't know if that's a question, Doug, as much as a comment, but I'd love to hear your reaction.
Well, I will say that each of the city council members were asked to submit their budget priorities for the next fiscal year. And all 9 of them included the Commission on Police Practices as one of their top priorities, and referenced the figures that were in the independent budget analysts report, and indicated that, you know, despite the financial challenges of the city, that they expected the commission to be fully funded. So I'm optimistic moving forward in the next fiscal year. I don't have an easy solution for what's going to happen between now and July 1, and we're not the only one that's in that boat. A lot of city departments are kind of in a holding pattern. Our problem is that we have no money. Others are, you know, waiting to see what's going to happen to their budget, but the budget cuts have not been made. But we've made our voice heard and would encourage, well, and perhaps it would be appropriate when we have the budget hearings for people not only to support our budget for the fiscal year that begins on July 1, but to reiterate the need to have immediate funding for staffing, not only staffing the commission, but getting us office space and equipment and the computer needs that we have and so forth. And in addition to that, we were just discussing today, we've had several questions we've had to refer to our legal counsel, and we have not had an increase in the budget for that, and we're nearing our allocation. And we had, our proposed interim budget included, probably the equivalent of $50,000 for legal expenses. And right now we're working with a cap of 25,000, and we are going to be reaching that cap, I think, fairly soon. And so, yes, I hear you, and I think it would, be appropriate for commissioners and also members of the public to attend the meetings, and not only to support the long-term needs of the commission, but also to support the short-term needs of the commission. So people show up at the city council all the time on public comment, and they did this week when the budget. Even though the proposal was not to make any changes to the budget, there were still people from the community who showed up to express concerns on on both sides of the police budget issue, and we should be having members of the public also talking about the commission.
Then just to share and kind of add to what Doug just said, the executive committee, or sorry, the cabinet rather, every time we've spoken with city council members rather, and the mayor's office, we've brought up the budget issue and we've shared with them the number of cases that we're reviewing and the need for the police oversight to continue. And all of them are in support of it. And unfortunately, the curse is the fact that the city doesn't have the money and they don't know where to pull it from in order to try to siphon something off to give it to us. So we've been the squeaky wheel. We've all been very clear that it's not a nice to have, this is a have to have item. And especially just for kind of administrative staff is, we can't just have, Executive Director Charmaine Mosley as the sole member that has to deal with receiving complaints, processing those, working on our annual report, she can't just do all of that herself. And to Poppy's point, right now, Charmaine's working probably close to 80 hours a week, which is not sustainable. So we definitely are pushing the city as hard as we can. And they know, it's just right now, we're just not getting any movement until at least the city knows what's going to happen with any federal funds coming from, the COVID Relief Act and all that stuff. So Charmaine, I think you were going to say something, and I see Patrick has his hands up too.
Yeah, it would be great if there was like a way to like push the button and stop the investigations. We all know that those cases that have sustained findings have that 1-year limit. So there's just no way we can stop the investigations from happening and having to assign those cases to the team. I cringe every time I have to assign a case to a team because I know the teams are working hard and trying to push those cases out. And I'll talk about that during my update. But it is like, as far as the administrative support goes, that's challenging, as well as, the assignment of cases to the teams. We don't want the teams to suffer burnout because the teams are supposed to be reviewing cases, and we have a huge backlog of cases that's assigned to the teams. And then also we have the first vice chair, Doug, who's working on the transition, as well as the chair and you, Poppy, as well. So it's a huge effort, and we're trying our best to keep things afloat and, just keep moving forward. But I think we're all trying to work together as a team. And I think that's important as well, that we are continuing to do this and then hope and pray and keep pushing for some type of relief. Because it is true, I think it's more than 80 hours. I think it's like 5 full-time jobs that I'm doing right now. And it's tough. It's tough right now. And I understand the pandemic is happening and, times are hard, but we have to get support staff. We have to really get support staff, and we have to get the budget for it as soon as possible.
Thanks, Charmaine. Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, speaking as somebody who preparing those roundtables and so on, spent a couple hundred hours in this volunteer position while also doing a full-time job, as everyone on this commission is doing. I just have to say the message to City Council can't just be, we need support, we're overworked, we know times are rough. The city will find the money for its priorities. It is not the case that the city can't find money for a position. I want to highlight something Poppy highlighted, a comment from the chat, that the city just approved SDPD's budget. And the fact that the city doesn't see this commission as being inextricably tied in priority to SDPD's own budget tells you something. Every one of those city council members and Mayor Gloria have said they hear the community when the community says this commission needs to be powerful and this commission needs to represent San Diego's diverse communities better than it has. The problem is you can't just say that and continue to act in ways that compound those disparities. And that's precisely what's happening with their inability or indecision or whatever to act on these budget needs. When you decide not to act, what you're doing is making it impossible for working people to participate, because there is no way that, you know, working people on hourly wages with childcare, elder care, so much going on that they are responsible for, you're making it impossible for them to even conceive of participating in this commission if you continue to place the kinds of demands on Charmaine, but also on all of us as interim commissioners. There's simply no way that this commission will ever be able to better represent the vast diversities of San Diego if the city doesn't fund the work that we do. That's the message that needs to get to City Council and the mayor's office. They need to know that not acting on our immediate budget needs compounds the problems of this commission. It compounds the problem, in particular, of how this commission represents everyday San Diegans, and especially everyday San Diegans in over-policed communities. So I get that the pandemic, the budget hole, and so on. Look, I work at UCSD. I hear that all the time. And I know that when the institution or the city government values something, they can find the resources and put them in place. They may not be able to find $1.6 million for us right now, but they can give us the resources to have more staff support. I am not sorry for taking time to say all of that, but I know we've got other stuff to do, so I'll stop.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks, Patrick. And
No, I was going to say, I would encourage you to say that at a comment at City Council.
I'd be happy to do that, but also that's another hour that I'll have to spend on this commission. And I hope that you can point them to this recording. You can take the transcript of what I just said and say it again. They need to hear that they're not just passively dealing with a budget hole. They are not acting, and their inaction causes disparity in this way.
And I'd like to propose, Doug, not just because what I think is a frustration that is a certain problem that we're dealing with is essentially we're directing the folks who are already in the heavy lifting of trying to provide perfect as the community has said that it is, who, you know, essentially in the context of a really untenable load, then to say, oh, and by the way, go to school and go to the budget meetings and so forth. I think I would like to suggest is that the executive of this commission draft a letter to the mayor and the city council president and to council member Montgomery Stepp, communicating this conversation and the concerns of this commission, and reiterating what I know, because I'm in many of the meetings, has been communicated to them already about the budget situation. And I want to urge us that we need to communicate the tenuousness of the oversight, police oversight in the city right now. And I see in the chat already additional communication from community members who are the very people that we're here to represent and ensure oversight of the San Diego Police Department. So I really feel keep going to meetings, keep doing. I think there's a charge that perhaps we need to take on to further escalate and then communicate that something will have to give. So I hear you, Charmaine, saying it can't just stop. But what I'm saying is, to Patrick's point, if there is no what if, then nothing will change. So I don't accept, I guess what I'm saying in this meeting right now is that I don't accept that we have no other option than direct commission members to go and talk to city council. I think that there's an opportunity, and perhaps I'm not sure if it's appropriate to make a motion that commission as a whole. Chairman, you're telling me no, it's not appropriate, but
So it
I
has to
just
be an
did.
action. It has to be an action item on the agenda.
I'm speaking to the transition committee's report, which I would, the budget for this new commission rolls right up underneath that transition committee's.
Yeah, but it has to be listed as an action item on the agenda, and it's not.
So what I wanted to do is, I think almost everyone on the commission has chimed in on that, and I see Tasha has her hand up for, I'm assuming public comment on probably one of the items, either specifically on the transition or any of the other things. So,
Tasha, you're live.
Yes, I was just, I just have questions as to how the community can support with a push on city council as well. And then I put in the chat, can we hold a press conference? Because all this information doesn't get out to the vast public because there's only so many people that come to your meetings. So they don't hear what we're hearing. We can convey it, but then it's only going to reach a certain amount of people. If the community members, not you all, hold a press conference and say, hey, we were in this meeting and we heard this, and these are some of the demands that we have for city council, and list the things that you are saying, is kind of, you can't do it, but we can. And also being at city council and speaking on it during public agenda comments, getting meetings with these elected officials, and then making sure that they understand that they may not have those seats next go around.
yeah.
Brandon, can I say something very quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say to Tasha that I think this commission would be honored to have the support of the community in that way. You're right that we can't hold a press conference, but for us to know that the community is behind us on this and will show up in that way. I mean, that's I find that I think we'd be honored.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there has to be a push from different angles, because it's clear, since there's been an executive director, that there's not been enough support. One person can't be a whole department. That's disrespectful, one, and it's an acknowledgement of the lack of importance that department is to the city council. I talk about this often with folks when we're trying to design whole departments, that if you don't properly staff a department, it will fail. And I think that people have been set up in these positions to fail. And I think that is wrong for any elected official to do. And I think they should be slammed for it.
Doug, you're up.
Yeah, I'm just going to comment that San Diegans for Justice has a very comprehensive email list, and they've been successful in getting their members to show up to speak out. And so maybe we, at our transition committee meeting on Friday, where we have a liaison to San Diegans for Justice, we can talk about how to build community support for the short-term and long-term budget needs of the commission.
Okay. I don't see any other hands raised, so I will go ahead and move on to the chair's report. Fortunately, this will be a little bit shorter because Doug already addressed several things I was going to touch base on, which is great. Just to remind everyone to do your volunteer hours. And again, if you have any questions on how to do that with the Better Impact website, let Charmaine or myself know, and we can help walk you through that. It's actually, it's pretty easy, but I can share with you guys how to do it. There's also an app for your phone where you can do it on your phones as well. The second one, the update from the 10th, the meeting with PSLN, I think we pretty much addressed that with everything that Doug said. But obviously, you know, we've been pretty active with the city council, trying to make sure they know what we need to do and what we need. You know, and again, the budget issue aside, I mean, we've obviously been pretty vocal on that, but we're going to continue to be the squeaky wheel because I think like everyone is saying, you know, if we're not making noise, it's not going to happen. So we're going to keep moving on that one. Scheduling of the retreat. Now, again, I always tell everyone I hate using the word retreat because I think it tells the community that we're basically going out to Disneyland for a weekend, which is not what that is. It's really like a workshop. So I will probably also work with everyone to try to find out what date works best. Typically, we try to do that on a Saturday. Usually it's anywhere between like 4 to 6 hours, but we'll try to figure that out. Are there any, well, I guess before I open up to everyone, I'll just send out a doodle poll. But typically I'll try to look at see what Saturdays this month, or sorry, March or April work, and we can try to move forward on those. Charmaine, do you want to touch base on anything on the retreat / workshop?
No, you covered it. Thank
Okay.
you.
So the status of the protest policy, again, as I was mentioning, we have our policy committee meeting. That's this Thursday from 4:30 to 6. Again, it is open for anyone to attend. The only thing from commissioners, we can't have so many people there that it takes us into a different type of a meeting. So you can still attend, but you can't necessarily be, I guess, in attendance. Well, I guess how does it change with a webinar? I guess they could just be attendees, not panelists, I suppose. But what the idea is, we'll listen to the feedback we get from the public, from commissioners, anyone else who's there. We'll probably debate the issues, the changes we'd like to see, and then we will forward that to the full commission. And so on the 23rd of next month, the full commission will then review that. We'll most likely debate that again. It'll be open to public comment again. And if the community has any comments or feedback based on our recommendations, we can make some edits. And then my thought is at that point, we will then vote to approve or not. And then I will write a memo to the chief of police with our recommendations on how we'd like to see the protest policy revised. I know we briefly touched base on it, and Andrea, thanks again for letting us know. For everyone who is new, definitely please let us know what committee you would like to join. And if you're an existing member and you would like to change committees, let us know that. Or if you just want to stay on the same ones, that's of course absolutely fine. I guess we'll send out the list again so you can kind of see who's currently on them. But we would like to see, I always would change around just to kind of get some new perspectives from different committees. So we look forward to seeing you guys participate on that. And then I don't really have any other items, but does anyone else have questions on any of those things I tried to skip over really quickly?
Something in the chat.
In chat, sorry.
Okay.
I just see Poppy was just thanking people for participating.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we're good on that. So Charmaine, it's over to you, Executive Director report.
Great. Before I start my report, I wanted to acknowledge that this month is Black History Month. That's why I'm wearing this today. I celebrate it every day, but I just wanted to acknowledge this month as being Black History Month and to celebrate and acknowledge the achievements of many African Americans this month. So let's see. So the caseload update, I sent out the spreadsheet. I believe it was yesterday. So hopefully everybody has access to it. Prior to tonight's meeting, we had 55 cases assigned to the teams. And out of the 55 cases, we had 3 Cat 1s, 1 officer involved shooting, and 2 Cat 2 cases on tonight's meeting agenda. At that meeting, we deliberated on and closed out 2 cases, leaving the commission with 53 cases assigned to the teams. that number is going to go up. I know I received a case today from Andrea, Detective Amato, that I'm going to assign to a team tomorrow. I encourage the teams to that have cases that need revisions to please get those revisions, those revised cases to me as soon as possible. We have some cases, I believe, that needed revisions from back in November. So we just want to be able to close those cases out and reach out to the complainant. So that is important, as well as keeping up with the sustained case, those sustained cases. In this fiscal year, we closed out so far 80 cases, which is huge, considering we are in a pandemic. We have been closed down a few times. So that's huge. That goes to show the dedication and also the work that the CRB, as well as the commission, now commission, has been putting into case review. Team 5 is now actively reviewing cases again, so they're back in action. Team 4 is also active, so that was a split from Team 1.
Team 7 shutting down.
That was a split from Team 1. And Team 7 will become inactive due to the resignation of Commissioner Pauline Theodore. She was team lead for, oh gosh, for several years. Actually, when I came on 6 years ago, she was team lead. So with that said, there are 2 cases that I need to reassign from Team 7 to the other teams. So the breakdown is Team 1. They were assigned 9 cases. 1 case was sent back to the team in November for further review. Commissioner Vaughn, what is the status of that case? There was a case that was sent back in November.
Nancy,
I know Nancy has issues with mute, so she might be struggling with that again.
I can speak to it, Charmaine. I think I think it's the case that's with me, and I'm working on the revisions. It'll be any time that we'll get it back.
Okay, so we can close that case out. That case has to go back before the board, and then we'll be able to close it out and contact the complainant. The team also has 1 Cat 2 case, and 3 cases have sustained findings. There are cases that Team 1 has that I believe they went beyond the year, but there's no sustained findings. We want to make sure that those cases are moved forward. So I want to hear from Commissioner Vaughn as to a timeline of when those cases will be going before the commission.
So Doug's working on the 2020-29 case, and he hasn't been busy, so I imagine that's almost done. And today I finished up the 102 case and sent word to Poppy and Doug. Doug's already reviewed it for me. I have a couple changes to make there for him. And the rest of them are new cases for the new Team 1, and I have not gotten together with them to start working. So we will be doing that in this next week.
Okay, so please keep me in the loop with that. And as the team is completing those cases, let Detective Amato know, as well as myself, so she can move the cases into my file folder so I can read them to make sure that there's whatever edits that are needed, that I edit the case if necessary. Thank you. Do you have any questions for me, Commissioner Vaughn?
Oh, of course not.
Okay, thank you. I'm so formal. So Team 2, they were assigned 12 cases, 3 are Cat 2 cases, 2 of which were previously heard by the commission and sent back to the team for revisions. 5 cases have sustained findings, and 4 of the 12 cases are complete. So the team has been moving these cases along. No officer-involved shootings or in custody death cases were assigned to the team, and 1 case was closed out tonight. Team 2, does that sound about right?
Yes, case 2020-0061, Lieutenant Pick let us know at the meeting before last that that one would not be changed. It was a request from a commissioner regarding that it should have been a Cat 2. So once Detective Andrea puts that in the file, I'll make a case note what the lieutenant stated regarding that.
Okay.
So
she
it
has to
can be
move it to the
removed off the
file
case
and then-
list, right?
Okay, and then we'll move it back and then put it before the commission again.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
No, no.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you. Team 3, they will assign 9 cases. 8 cases were assigned during COVID, and 1 case was reassigned from Team 5 pre-COVID. Of the 9 cases, 4 are Cat 2 cases, 5 cases have sustained findings, and 8 of the cases were assigned during COVID. The team does not have any officer-involved shooting or in custody death cases. Does that sound about right, Team 3?
Yes,
And one
that's
case,
right.
one
That's
case
right.
was closed. One case was closed out tonight.
Right.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me, Team 3?
No, we have 3 that are assigned now to be written up. And I'm almost done with one of them. I'll probably get into IA hopefully this week and listen to the audio.
Okay, thank you so much. So Team 4, that's a newly created team, were assigned 6 cases that were moved over from Team 1. 2 are Cat 2 cases, 1 case is an officer-involved shooting case, and 2 cases have sustained findings. Does that sound about right, Team 4?
Yeah, it does. The officer involved shooting, actually the time limit near up this coming Friday, but after getting input from our legal counsel, we're not recommending any sustained findings, but we anticipate having that case ready to go before the commission very soon. We're discussing it at a team meeting on Friday. The most outstanding case in terms of time is 2020-0873, and we've assigned that to new commissioner Duke Taylor to take the lead on, and then we'll work through the other 4 as time permits.
Okay. Thank you. So Team 5, they have 1 case assigned so far. And that case is a Cat 1 and has a sustained finding. Does that sound about right, Team 5?
Yes, we've just started on it. We've been out of commission since March. And so we're just starting back and getting used to doing cases from home and working with the new city website. Maxine understands a little more than I do so far. And so we're just getting started, really.
Okay. So is everything okay as far as the remote access and being
Not for
able to
me,
log in?
no. I've been working with the help desk.
And what are the issues?
Well, I'd rather talk about it with you privately.
Ernestine, I can give you a call and we can try to figure out what we can do to try to help.
Because I need to know, as we're getting more cases in, I need to know how to assign the cases. I know Team 5 has 1 case and the team is starting to act on that 1 case, but with Team 7 out of commission, I just have to keep in mind how long am I gonna not assign cases to Team 5? And you know, as far as for planning purposes.
Well, yeah, go ahead and assign them. I'm sorry that we're getting off to a very slow start. And it's mostly my fault. I mean, it's all my fault.
It's fine. It's fine because it's just getting used to remote case access and being able to log in, and you know, I have issues as well. So I understand, and we're here to support you. We're here to support the team. So between the chair and myself, we'll be able to help the team. So just let me know what's needed. If we have to hop on and do a share screen share or whatever have you, to walk the team through it, we can do that as well. So
yeah, I just learned how to log in. So
this is Maxine, Mrs. Clark, and there is no fault. None of us have a fault. It's simply that we are getting accustomed to the new system. And I think Brandon had said he was going to talk to the 2 of us offline a couple of weeks ago. So we've been kind of waiting for that, if I remember correctly. But there is no fault.
Okay. So
Brandon, he was going to call and share with us, walk us through something Brandon, do you remember you had made a statement to us? Do you recall that?
Yeah, probably. I know we did that after that one. We had a closed session meeting, and I think you guys were there, and I thought that maybe solved the issue, but I will work with you guys and we'll get it fixed.
Yeah.
Well, let's blame it all on Brandon.
Yeah, we'll blame Brandon. Brandon did it.
He's
Brandon's
been not
at
busy
fault.
at all.
Brandon is
Been busy.
wonderful. No, the help desk is wonderful too. I really gave them some really high marks. The
Well, we
city
have no-
help desk.
Well, we have no problem getting to the file. I've gotten all the way over to, the files and look at the case and everything. We simply
Oh,
have.
good for you, Maxine. You're going to be able to help me.
Well, those were the directions I typed out and sent to you so you could walk through each step by step. So very easy. So we've gotten there. We simply need some directions to once we get there. And I think
Okay.
maybe a 5-minute conversation with Brandon or Charmaine, doesn't matter whichever one, but we
Okay.
need that little guidance. We know how to get there. No problem.
So if y'all don't hear back from the chair or myself, please just call me or shoot me another email or something.
No problem.
It's not a bother. So just go ahead and do that. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Ernestine, I know you're the lead and I didn't mean to speak over you, but I did want to just kind of throw that out.
Maxine, I totally appreciate that you did. I really did. So
Thank
it
you.
means we're a team.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Team, what are we up to? Team 6. Team 6 were assigned 8 cases. Of the 8 cases, 4 sustained findings, and 1 is an office-involved shooting case. The team does not have any category 2 or in-custody death cases. So I know team lead Harrington is not here, so Commissioner Shea, does that sound about right?
OIS case is assigned to me, and I should be able to get to it pretty soon. As soon as I wrap up my current case, which I just have to listen to the audio.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. The sooner we can get those cases done and be able to reach out to the complainant, close those cases out, that'd be great. Thank you so much. Team 7, they were assigned 11 cases. That's the team that we have to make inactive because of the resignation of Commissioner Theodore. Two Cat 2s that are completed, and that was on tonight's meeting agenda. So we're going to carry that over to the next meeting. Chair Hilpert is wrapping up most of the cases, and we will reassign those 2 cases to the other teams since this team is now inactive. So does anyone have any questions?
I can chime in real quick. I have 4 cases. 3 of them are done. 1 of them will be done tomorrow. So there are 4 cases from Team 7 that will be ready for presentation.
Okay, so I have to read the four, I think it's 4 cases, right? Okay, I'll check my folder tomorrow.
2 of them are cases that had been previously heard and had revisions. We sent them back to Internal Affairs. There were revisions, and so there's some minor changes. But yeah, we can go over those, but those will be ready for the next meeting.
Okay, and that's the one that the board has to vote on again, that one case?
Yeah, correct, yes.
Okay.
And then Tasha had her hand up, so it was before, I don't know if it was a comment of the executive director report or anything else, but I think that's a public comment piece, so.
I can, sorry, I'm here on phone now, but I will, Tasha, you are live.
Yes, I was just inquiring because I don't know how I'm supposed to do it. I did a PRA request because I received a letter from your department and also the police department, but my PRA has been delayed. And so I'm just trying to figure out, when I PRA you all, does it go to the city or does it go to you, to your department?
It goes to my department. So I would call you after this meeting.
Okay.
I was gonna say, just to stay on track, public comment, we can't debate it and we're not supposed to respond to it. So yeah, Charmaine, if you can reach out so we can try to address that, but I don't want to violate any issues regarding like Brown Act related stuff, so.
Yeah, it's fine. I can respond as far as I'll call you after.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So the next item is commission vacancies and resignations. As I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Commissioner Theodore resigned. She submitted her resignation. She served on the CRB now for almost 8 years. She was on the CRB actually commission when I got here 6 years ago. She showed a lot of dedication and commitment for case review and always able to push those cases forward, and also served as team leader for several years. So we will definitely miss her. We are now down to 19 members and 4 vacancies
Oh, wow.
on the commission. So we have 4 vacancies. We're still waiting for, the implementation ordinance. So that's going to happen hopefully in the next year or so. So that's what I have to report out on item B. Item C is status of work accounts. So all commissioners should have the san diego.gov account set up already. So I'm hoping that everyone is set up and using the system. So I know Commissioner Smith mentioned that she might have issues logging in, and so I'm going to circle back as far as that goes, as well as using the Google Drive. So let's open that up for anyone that has any comments or any issues.
Charmaine,
that we can address.
I know how to log in now.
Okay.
Ernestine. Yeah, this is Ernestine.
Okay, great.
And I can check email too.
Okay, and I think Commissioner Pink was having issues with his. Commissioner Pink?
Yeah, I'm all good now. Yeah, I'm good on my email.
Okay, excellent. And everyone is comfortable with the Google Drive or sort of getting there?
Was I muted? This is Ernestine. Just now?
No, I heard you.
When I
Oh,
told
were
you
you?
that I can log in and get mail, get the mail on it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I wasn't muted. Okay.
No, I heard you. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yes, this is Mrs. Clark. I'm comfortable with the Google Drive. I can get to all the locations and observe what I should be seeing. I just need directions on where to go from there, but I'm very comfortable with that.
Okay, excellent. So just let me know if there's any issues, if y'all see anything that can be improved, let me know. I know today I mentioned that I took the sign-in sheet and I added that to the case reports so it can all be in one, and it'll be easier for the teams to be able to access it rather than going to search for it. So anything that we can do to make it simpler, please let me know. Item D is the administrative support. So I'm in the process of getting an SDSU intern. So for me, that's a small relief. The only thing is that she's only able to commit to a limited amount of time. So I am in the process of onboarding her. She's an SDSU student. Her name is Ashley Suhu. She's going to be responsible for primarily processing the complaints as they're coming in. We are in a huge backlog of complaints because as the CRB transitioned into the commission, we're seeing more complaints coming in now. So she's going to be dedicating her time to doing that, and we'll be working together to address those the backlog. The last item I have is the 2021 NACO conference update. So this year, I'm on the NACO conference planning committee again. I was on the committee last year. It was a lot of work because we had at least 70 proposals that came in. Actually, it was probably more, and we chose like 70 session proposals to have at the virtual conference. So this year they're going to try something new. The first conference is going to be virtual from August 16th through October 1st, and it's going to be similar to the one last year. And the second conference is going to be a smaller in-person conference that's scheduled for December 12th through the 16th in Tucson, Arizona, like it was going to be last year. So that's going to be a smaller in-person conference. So right now we're focusing on reading through the proposals and trying to figure out what sessions we're going to have. I know I reached out to the cabinet last week and said we might, maybe we should have done a session, or maybe we should put in a proposal to have the commission do a session, but maybe Clarib and La Mesa. But due to the workload and everything that I have going on right now, the deadline to submit proposals is this month on the 28th. So
Charmaine,
yes.
this is Patrick. I didn't respond to that email, but the group of us at UCSD who put together the youth, this group of high school students who were training in public safety and some oversight stuff, we are putting in a proposal, just FYI. It's not obviously an official speaking on behalf of the commission panel, but I didn't know you were on the review board, just so you know.
Yes,
you are going to get one from us.
Okay, yeah, we have at least, I think, 8 or 9 individuals who are on the planning committee, and I'm one of them. So we have to look through all the proposals.
Yeah, so you will be getting one from us. So we will have some, even though we're not doing an official panel as a commission, you will be getting a proposal from San Diego.
Okay, just keep me in the loop with that.
Sorry, I'm on the phone, so every time I click *6 to mute or unmute myself, I think you can probably hear the voice telling me I'm unmuted.
Okay, just let me know, what the topic is and how do you want to proceed if y'all got to that stage. I know the proposals are due on the 28th, so.
Yeah.
I know we don't have time to submit one ourselves, so I might just try to, I don't want to say hijack, but sneak over into somebody else's session. So with that said, that completes my report. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I sort of have a question, Charmaine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to confirm my understanding. Let me see if I can make this generic enough. So whenever we have a case where it might be material to know what's in a PO's file, we are going to be able to get access to that in the future. We don't have access to that now. Is that correct?
You have access to the case files now. When I assign the new case that comes into the team, Detective Amato puts it into the file folder. And
let me rephrase. If a police officer has previous findings of any sort, we would be able to in the future, if not now, have access to that knowledge?
No, I don't believe so, and I'll let the chair respond to you.
Yeah, I think it's, as we switch to a commission, it's going to be a little bit different, but I think part of what you might be referring to is discipline. In order for us to be able to make a recommendation on discipline, we have to know if that officer has previous sustained findings against something. So that's going to go through the whole meet and confer process, because we would have to have access essentially to the HR file to see what has happened in the past. I think the way we always look at our cases is we look at the case in and of itself. So we can ask if, say for example, it was an excessive force related issue. We can ask if there are previous incidents of excessive force that were sustained. Typically, we try to look at each case on a case-by-case basis. So would we just have their full file? No, because we look at the cases as kind of they're presented. Now, the way we get them now with the internal affairs doing their investigation, they give us their files, and the way it happens in the community, if we decide to do an investigation, we'd still have access to those files, but we probably would not necessarily go back and pull everything of a police officer's personnel file, if that makes sense. Are you good? I see you thinking, so.
Yeah, I'll go with it for now.
Okay. Were there any other questions for Charmaine? Okay, I don't see anything. Thanks, Charmaine. I will open it up to the police department if there's anything they have to report, any updates.
Good evening, Brandon and the rest of the board. Just a little updates on staffing. This is Lieutenant Steve Shawowski. As we mentioned earlier, Executive Assistant Chief Guadarrama is unavailable tonight. But from our October Academy, we're currently at 47, so holding strong there with new recruits that are going through the Academy. We had a Junior Academy start in January at 50, so that's some good news there in terms of staffing. And then just the last item that you guys have already had some discussion about is the new protest policy. It's fairly comprehensive and being 15 pages. It is publicly posted on the city's website. The department is looking forward to hearing from the policy committee along with public comment on any items that that could potentially improve the policy or whatever items could come up for it. But we're looking forward to hearing from you guys on that and conferring on it at a future date. That's all.
So I believe Captain Holden was looking at trying to get a speaker, somebody from the department to come in and talk to the commission at its March 23rd meeting regarding the protest policy.
Yes, Charmaine, and the originating division for this particular policy is Homeland Security and our Critical Incident Management Unit. So he is off this week, but yeah, I'm getting an expert that help craft the policy to answer questions would be, I think, useful to all involved.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
With that, we actually might be ending on time. Typically, we would have a session for any of the commissioners to be able to report on ride-alongs they've done. Obviously, because of COVID, we're not doing that. For our new commissioners, if you haven't done a ride-along in the past, we definitely encourage you to do a ride-along when we have that opportunity. I think it's important for us to kind of see what's happening in our communities. I always recommend you do a ride-along in the division where you live. So for me, I always do well, not always, but I always start with mid-city first. And then I always recommend we go to areas where we tend to have the most complaints. But, of course, it's up to you guys as to which areas you would like to try to do. But once those ride-alongs are available again, we'll definitely let you all know. I don't have any other announcements or comments. So I will just see if there's any last final questions from any of the commissioners or the community members. Oh, and actually, Ashley Sohu is actually attending the meeting as a attendee. So welcome as our intern. Welcome to our chaotic meeting. Thanks for attending. And if there's no questions.
I would just like to tag on to Charmaine in celebrating Black History Month. I'd just like to say to the group that I participated in 4 play representations this month. We did it virtual, and we did actually 6 presentations, plays by virtual this month in celebration of Black History Month. Thank you.
Great, excellent, thank you.
Written and conducted by myself. Thank you.
Have any more coming up? Commissioner Clark, do you have any more coming up?
She already put herself back on mute, so. All right, guys, well, that's it. We're actually done almost 15 minutes early, which is almost unheard of for our commission. But thanks everyone for your time tonight. I know obviously our 4th Tuesday meetings are quite long, so thank you for your time, effort, and patience. And have a great night. We'll adjourn the meeting.
Night all.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.